Namaskar and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's really a great honor to be here amongst you all. It's TEDxVIT, so fantastic event. I'm just assuming that most of you or maybe all of you are from engineering and technology background. This belief has been created because I'm anchored here. And I think because of this TEDxVIT existence here, then VIT campus here, plus all of you youngsters, your language, body language, and all that makes me believe that you must be all from engineering and technology. The belief is because there's an anchoring. That anchoring happens, and it happens in almost all the aspects of our life. We do get anchored, and that is the topic of my presentation, as to why and how do we get into anchors. But let's look into, before I take you to this anchoring aspects and further psychological explanations of that, let's have an experience of it. So, the group, I'll divide the audience or participants in my two groups. So people who are on my right-hand side from this line onwards, I'll call this as a group 1. The people who are on the left-hand side, we'll call that as a group 2. So I'm going to give you some very small childish exercise or activity, which I'm sure you will enjoy that. So let's have it. So the group on my right-hand side, group 1, you will get into the multiplication of numbers starting from 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1, like that, and find out the answer. This side of the group will do the multiplication of starting with the numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 8, like that, okay? So please start your calculations. Please stop. Yeah, don't write anything now. Now, whatever you have found out, okay? So some of you must have reached the answer. Some of you must not have reached the answer. Now your task is to guess what could be your answer. So please write down that number, whatever your guess answer is. Please, this group as well as both the groups. Please do that. Okay, I hope you have written the number, committed your answers. Let's have a small review, just responses I'll just collect. Okay, from this side, are there numbers which are less than 1,000? Your answers are 1,000? Please raise your hands. Then, around 2,000? How many of them? Okay, so please tell me your answers. Some of you can share your answers. 37,000? That's what you have learned? Or, okay, fine. Anyone else? Okay, from this side, what are your answers? Yeah? No, 50,000 plus. In fact, the group which you have done, the numbers, you are supposed to do the multiplication in descending order. This side, okay? So your answers were supposed to be much higher than this particular group. Whether it's there or not, that's what I wanted to verify, but some of you are saying that, okay. This group has started your calculations from 1, 2, 3, and like that. And when you started these calculations, you will not, some of you must have really learned this exercise by heart. That's how you're writing. Somebody said 40,000, and that's the correct answer, closer to the 40,000. So in this situation, what happens? When you do not know what is the exact answer, you are likely to guess. But when you're guessing, there are two things that happen in our mind. The guessing task influences, for example, if you do the exercise in a descending order, your guessing answer is quite different from if you do the guessing from ascending side. And this has been demonstrated. So the correct answer is actually 40,320. That's the correct answer. But this group would have really higher answers. Of course, less than that, but should have higher answers. Whereas this group should have little lower answers. And in fact, this was the exercise conducted by a psychologist. Later on, he was awarded a Nobel Prize, not for this work, but a lot of other work. So his name was Kahneman. He was in economics, so psychology and economics. So this gentleman, along with his colleague Tversky, he found out that this is a tendency that happens in the school children, as well as in the grown-up people also. So what is this tendency could be called as? And that is how he started thinking on this issue, and then he said, probably this is an anchoring. Why the answer should differ? The answers differ because you get anchored when you're asked to do mental activity from one end to the other end. As a result of this experiment demonstrated this, and later on he conducted several experiments and found that, yes, people do get anchored, okay? So this is the phenomena of anchoring. So we want to get into this further. So question is now, what happens in the market? I want to connect this to the market experiences. So when you go to the market, the anchoring effect happens there. So in anchoring effect, the price anchoring is there. Generally, you'll find that when you ask for let's say a price, so the tendency is that if you are given a higher price, and then after that he says, but there's also another object. This is for the lower price. So you are likely to go for that. So the higher price actually anchors you. This is the explanation that he is providing, and that's why it is called as anchoring effect. So this anchoring effect happens not only in marketing behavior. It happens in our perception when we meet people, or when you watch events on television, or when you experience a lot of things in your life, such things will happen. So anchoring happens there. So it's not only in this, but our focus today is on anchoring in market behavior. Okay, so this market behavior, you can see actually, this has been studied and analyzed in the consumer psychology, field of consumer psychology. It's also called as field of behavioral economics. As I told you, this was a person, gentleman. He really popularized this field of behavioral economics, where psychology and economics combinations can explain a lot of our complicated buying, selling, or purchasing behavior in marketing. It has a lot of applications. And in fact, because of that, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in 2002. There was one more gentleman, again coming from the same background, like psychology and economics, and his Richard Thaler. He was given Nobel Prize again, I think in 2017. Okay, so this is how the field of economics and psychology, when they come together, that's called as behavioral economics. And they explain a lot of interesting phenomena that happens. We need to understand what psychology is. So psychology is actually a very scientific and systematic study of human beings and animals. And it studies a lot of other aspects of behavior, like normal versus abnormal behavior, conscious, subconscious, unconscious behavior, the behaviors which are internal versus external, the ones you show and we do not show, and like that. Look at this anchoring phenomena. Anchoring phenomena has been described as sometimes it's really rational behavior and outwardly shown behavior, but it is at times subconscious and unconscious, and it happens at that point. And that's how, even we try to explain how anchoring happens, many times we still are not in a position to why does it happen. And therefore, a lot of researchers have been conducted on these aspects. But then research evidences show that human beings tend to. So what is anchoring? So we tend to get influenced by the information that you get for the first time, first point of information. So whatever it is that is given to you, many times, and there are many examples like that, okay? So here, what is anchoring then? Anchoring is that information that is given to you in the beginning itself in your interactions, that probably gives the point of reference. And human beings have a tendency to depend on this particular reference and use it for your decision making. In fact, anchoring, it is found, is really helpful in many ways, actually. And one of the things that on positive aspects, it helps us in guiding our thoughts, ideas, or taking initiatives. But at the same time, somewhere you might feel that you are cheated, or you should have taken a different decisions like that. So therefore, psychologists and economics, they have found out as to what are the factors that really lead to anchoring, okay? Some of the examples in market we go, like for example, we buy shirts, t-shirts, saris, or any domestic appliances, or many big things, actually flats and like that. In many big things, actually, anchoring effect is seen. And this is used by marketeers in a very systematic manner. Okay, so they will always tell you, start from the higher. That's why the demonstration was actually telling us that if you start from descending order, so tell the highest price, people will get settled down to the lowest price. But if you start from the lower price, it is difficult for us to fetch them towards the higher price. And this is what they have learned. This principle is being used in marketing, and that is what is called as anchoring effect. So you can go into several examples like this, but I will not go into details of that. Now, next question is, okay, what is anchoring avoidable? Can we avoid anchoring? And it looks that partly answer is yes, and partly it is not. So in most of situations, we would like to avoid, but if it's really positive and giving us something, we would like to go for it. But then it does happen, because mostly it happens at an unconscious level, therefore it is difficult to avoid that. I'll just share one example. It's a very interesting example. In fact, there are several examples, but I thought I'll share this one with you. In the participants like this, they were asked, what must have been the age of Mahatma Gandhi when he died? So these two groups were asked to guess the age at what time he must have really died, age. So one group was provided an anchor of 9 years. The other group was provided an anchor of 140 years. Now look at this, the range of two anchors that was provided, and this was experimented. Now what has happened, the group which was provided an anchor of 9 years, they still guessed the answer as by the age, by the time he must have been 50 years of age. Second group answered, they said he must have been by almost 67 years. So average answers came like that. In reality, his lifespan was around 77, 78 years, approximately like that. But they could not guess it. So look at this situation. The anchors which were actually extreme anchors, and experimenter thought that they will be rejected. People will not get influenced by that. But it did not happen. It's still the anchoring effect was carried out. Okay, so like this. So then question came that, is it really completely avoidable? No, we cannot really avoid it completely, but we can really be a little more educated and aware of this. What are the other factors that can really influence the anchoring? There are many other factors. For example, moods. When you are actually getting into behavior, consumer behavior, or buying, selecting, decision making, actually choosing, when the buying behavior is really, it provides you a lot of choosing alternative. You have to choose from the number of alternatives. So when you get into alternatives, you always get into conflict. When there are a lot of options, we do not know which one to go ahead with. And it's because of that, the conflict creates pressure, tension, and maybe at times frustration. So you would like to get out of it. And there is a tendency to get out of it, and that is where the anchoring effect helps us. So somehow then we tend to believe this is the way that I go. Sometimes you apply thumb rule, like that. Sometimes intuitively it happens that way, and that's how we get into that. So actually your moods also are very important. So psychologists have pointed out when people are in really sad moods, depressed mood, they are likely to get influenced more because of the anchoring. Then when you are in group, your leaders or influential members, they can influence you more because of their aura or whatever it is, or your relationship. Third is that the cognitive abilities that you people have. We all have cognitive abilities. So these different cognitive abilities, because of that, and people who have little, on the average side, they get, susceptible for the this anchoring effect. So like that. So now next question then comes, and then it has been studied in the literature. So it's a really interesting one, and I was fascinated by this. Okay. Are there some other aspects? For example, personality. Can personality of the people safeguard from the anchoring effect, or it will facilitate anchoring effect? So the studies have been conducted on this aspect. Okay. So it was found that there are a lot of models of personality. I'm sure you have heard, though personality was actually have been studied for a long time, almost a history of 100 years or more than that, systematic history. There are a lot of models. The recent model that has come into existence or practice, and which is across the world, has been found very valid, and that gives us a 5 dimension. That is, we can describe people, evaluate them, understand them only in 5 parameters or 5 dimensions. One of them was called as neuroticism. The other one is called as extroversion. Third one is called as openness to new experiences. Fourth one is called as agreeableness, and fifth one is called as conscientiousness. So researchers found that whether these aspects will influence the anchoring, and they found that yes, the people who have higher neurotic tendency, that means who are anxious, get a little unstable, they get affected by anchoring. They get influenced more. The people who are extrovert, adventurous, outgoing, they are less affected by that. The people who are conscientious, that is, who are very highly organized, systematic, and things like that, they don't get affected much. The people who are highly agreeable says they generally respect others' ideas, don't oppose much. So such people get influenced by the anchoring effects. So this is how it has been found that personality. So here, we are seeing then, can personality be used as a tool for you to see that I can safeguard from anchoring effect? Yes, it can. So it is possible that we can actually safeguard ourselves from anchoring effect. But there are two things that we can do. One is, your habits, like marketing intelligence, business intelligence. These are important aspects. We need to develop that right from your childhood. And in fact, somewhere it is believed that people who are high on critical thinking or analytical ability, such people do not get influenced by anchoring. And let me tell you my own experience. When I go in the market with my wife, I find my wife is better than me in understanding the anchoring effect. Because on Lakshmi or Deccan, wherever we'll go there, she would first ask, and anyone will do that, what is the price of that object? The person will start with, let's say, 100. So she will say, can you give me 25? She will start from that end, the lower end, and which is really one. And this is how now I started analyzing. If I go there along with, I said, okay, start with 50. No, she said, no, 25. And she will settle down the issue with 30%, not 50%. If I go in the marketing, I start with 40%, settle down with 50%, but sometimes I'm not really that successful. So I sometimes end up with paying 60% amount, like that. So this is how. So point is, I think it is business intelligence, systematic information gathering, and your critical attitude. I think that might help you really in safeguarding you from anchoring. But need not be scared. Sometimes when you do not have any information available with us, we need to go with anchoring, and then keep on exploring so that you end up with right choice, right decision, and ultimately you feel happy. Because ultimately, when you take decision, solving the problem, taking the decisions, and reaching to a particular goal, that provides us satisfaction. Friends, I have reached to my conclusion. Thank you very much.